Hi everyone. Today we're going to work on starting our chapter on automotive ads or automotive ownership. So today we're going to look at ads and how much it costs to run an ad and how would we take a look at buying a car through an ad. Okay, so we're going to be doing some cost of classified ads and some sales tax. So the first thing I have for us is some abbreviations that you might see in some car ads, especially if you're doing a used car. Best BO stands for best offer. We have cruise control, front wheel drive versus rear wheel drive versus all wheel drive. 4WD stands for four wheel drive. And there's quite a number of abbreviations that you may see in a car ad. So I have two websites here. These are not the only ones, but these are the ones that are used most often to buy a used car. All right, so the first one here is cars.com. And you can look at new and used cars, all makes and models, how many miles from your zip code, and then you have some suggestions. And then you have like SUVs, sedans, pickup trucks, and then you can pick your model, your make and your model, what kind, if you want a 2-door versus a 4-door, crossover sports car, convertible, hybrid car, things along that lines. And then you can do it by make and model. In Auto Trader, we have some things that are very similar. You can pick any make, model, and how far within a so many mile radius from your zip code. Sometimes you get individual car sellers versus people who are like dealerships and things along that lines. So just be aware that if you are looking for a used car, there are some benefits to doing it from a dealership, because if you want financing and you want a better car, that might be the way to go. But if you're looking for something super duper cheap, that you might do a private sale. Things that are at a dealership will always be put through like an inspection. It's a little bit more safer versus if you are just buying from a private person, you take the chance that not everything is working, and you may have, I would suggest, if you're going to buy a used car, take it to your mechanic just to make sure that everything is working correctly. Okay, so those are sites that you can work through and kind of look at if you're interested in looking at a car. So the only new term that we have, and I know it's not new, would be our sales tax, because every state, well, not every state, I'm sorry. In Pennsylvania, you do need to pay sales tax on automobiles. All right, so it's pays for government sales of products or services. So we have Carrie here who purchased a used car for $7,400 and had to pay 8.5% sales tax. How much tax did she pay? Well, we're going to want to take our $7,400 and times it by 0.08. And remember, 1/2 is 5, so 0.85. And when we do that, we get $629. And that is how much sales tax that she's going to pay. Okay, now if we needed to take this up, you were going to want to, you could figure out the total cost of the car by adding the $629 to the $7,400. So if you buy a car that's like $30,000, you're going to pay a lot in your sales tax. All right, so let's say you're going to sell a car and you want to put an ad in on Auto Trader or Cars.com or even on Craigslist. Well, not necessarily Craigslist. Certain places that charge you to put an ad in, like your local newspaper. So he plans to sell his car and place a 5-line ad in an auto enthusiast publication. Publication charges $31 for the first 2 lines and $6 for each extra line to run the ad for 1 week. So what will John's ad cost him for running 2 weeks? Well, the first thing we notice is that it's $31 for 2 weeks, or 2 lines. So if it's 5 lines, we've already used 2. So we need to figure out how much it's going to cost us for 3 lines. So $31 is already part of how much we're going to pay. We have to figure out the remaining 3. So it's $6 per line after 2. So we're going to do 6 times 3. we're going to get $18. And that is what I'm going to need to add to the 31. So that's $49 for 1 week. Okay. So we want to know how much it's going to cost us for 2 weeks. We're just going to take that 49 and times it by 2. We're going to get $98, and that's how much it's going to cost us for a 2-week ad. Okay. All right, so Jason here works for Glen Oaks News and is writing a program to compute ad costs. He needs to enter the algebraic expression cost for his ads. We're going to write an expression here. And his company charges $42.50 for up to 5 lines of the ad. Each additional line costs $7. Express the cost with like X lines as a function in the problem. All right, so let's just work with the $42 for up to 5 lines. So it doesn't matter if you have 1 line, 3 lines, or 5 lines, you're going to pay $42. So $42.50 for values, and I'm going to use the line, I'm going to use X to represent this number of lines, the number of lines that are less than or equal to 5. Okay, so we're only, after 5, we're paying something else. So after 5, okay, so we've already paid the $42.50 up to 5. But we're going to need to add to that the $7 per the lines after 5. So if you have a 7-line ad, you're going to have to do 7 times 2, right? The difference between the 7 and the 5. So we're going to do X minus 5 to represent that difference. We've already used 5. How much is left for the total number of lines in our ad? Now together, we've just created, these are for lines that are greater than 5. Okay, we've created basically a 2-part problem. Okay, if you are under 5, you're going to use the top. Okay, so the top is for under 5. And then the bottom is for over 5. So you have to make this decision. It's split. We're going to give this a name. We're going to call it C of X, cost. Okay, and this is actually called a piecewise or split function. Okay, so when you have 2 different things happening based on the value of X that's going into the problem. So rules for domain, which we would call domain, it's different for each value of X. So if you're less than or equal to X, we're going to just pay $42. Or less than or equal to 5, you're going to pay $42. If you're greater than 5, we're going to pay that 42 plus 7 times the difference between how many lines you have and 5 because we already paid for the 5. All right, so let's look again at one of these split or piecewise function. So we have Roxanne here who set up a piecewise function, which represents a cost of an ad in her local newspaper. X is the number of lines in the ad, and we're going to try and interpret her piece function here. So let's take a look at what we have. We have this part where it says X is less than or equal to 6. Now I always go to the back or to where the X is so I can figure out what are the values that we're going to use here. So when we're less than 6, we're only paying $45. So we could say that there are 4 ads with less than 6 lines, 6 lines or less. We're going to pay $41.55. Okay, now the minute we have 7 lines, we got to jump to the other one. So for ads with lines more than 6, shall we say more with more than 6 lines? Okay, we're going to pay $41.55 plus $5.50 for each line over 6 lines. Okay, so that second part, this guy right here, is this right here. Okay, so that when you have more than 6 lines, you're going to pay the $41.55 for the 6 lines, but then you got to pay $5.50 for each line over 6. So if you have 7 lines, you're going to pay the $41.55 plus you had 1 line over 6, so $5.50 times 1. All right, now, what does that look like graphically? It's kind of tough. All right, so let's see what we can do here. So let's do just what I would call an L graph. We're only going to look at first quadrant. Okay. All right, so according to this, if you're less than or equal to 6, you're going to pay $41.55. All right, so I'm just going to go by 5s. So that's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So 41 might be right here. Okay, so this would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so up to 6, we're going to pay $41.55. So here it is. There. It's the same amount. It doesn't matter if you pay 1 line or 6 lines, you're paying $41.55. So this is $41.55. Okay. And these are the number of lines. Okay. Notice this is straight horizontal line because it doesn't change. Okay, so this is price. Let's call it price. Okay. Now, the minute you go above 6 lines, okay, so let's say we're at 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, we're going to use that formula. So it would be $41.55 plus $5.50 for 7 lines. So that's $47.05. So we're going to go up. Okay, so right here is where we're going to change direction. Okay, our slope is like 550, so we're going to go 1, 2. Okay, so like right here. And that's when it starts to change. So this point right here is where we get a different graph. Okay, so think of it as 2 separate graphs, and then we join them right at that spot. Now that spot has a name, and it's called the cusp. Okay, it's where in the graph where the 2 curves or lines meet, and they have different slopes. So if you notice, the first part was horizontal, its slope is 0. The second part, we have this regular linear line. Now this point that this happens at is this guy right here. Well, let's not use that color. Okay, let's use orange. Okay, so this guy right here. So that's our point 641.55. Okay, all right, so that cusp is where the 2 lines meet. It's also where in the equation up here that we go from equal to greater than. So it's this part right here. Okay, all right, so let's take a look at finding the coordinates of the cusp. Where does this change happen? So find the coordinates of the cusp of the piecewise function. So what we're going to do is it's always this guy at the end. So that's 5, because after 5 we get a different graph. So up until 5 we're at 42.50. So that's going to be our cusp. The point on the graph would be 5, 42.50. So it's the intersection, okay? It's where those 2 points are going to overlap. All right, let me know if you have any questions, guys. Have a great day. And remember, staying in means we're keeping everybody safe.